Tabitha and Brandon Robinson are suing their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, for property damage and loss of income.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2152, Robinson versus Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How long have you been in the business of renting party equipment?
We've been in the business about 2.5 years.
And when you started the business by purchasing how many pieces of equipment?
We purchased 3 used units.
3 used?
Yes, obstacle courses, and we rented them out, and then we saved the money and then progressed renting them out and getting more.
Now, the jumper that you rented to the defendants,
Yes, ma'am.
was one that you bought used or one that you bought new?
I bought it new.
When?
I bought it on 7/19/21. I have the receipt for it.
I'd like to see it, please. Okay, and what you rented from them was a 38-foot obstacle course.
We didn't rent from them.
Who did?
Some friends of ours did. They used our property for their daughter's Sweet 16. They paid the Robinsons. They signed the rental agreement. We did not.
Is that correct?
Sandra is actually the one that handed me the cash.
Did somebody sign a rental agreement?
Yes.
Who was it?
It's a lady. Her name is...
Okay, so let me understand that this is... let me frame it. You rented this piece of equipment, which is a 38-foot obstacle course, to someone whose name is... And according to your complaint, it was returned damaged.
Yes.
You say it can't be repaired, although you tried to patch it.
Right.
And you want the cost of a new obstacle course. And while you paid $4,500, you want $9,000.
Well, I have a list of loss of rentals because people...
You're not entitled to that. Okay. More important, I want to know how you think if these people were not signatories to your rental agreement, why would you sue them?
When we went there...
May I see that, please, by the way, while she's telling me the story?
When we went there to drop it off, we did all the... I dealt completely with Sandra. They run a business in their property, which is for parties. She said they do cigar club parties, they do Sweet 16 parties on their property.
Okay, got it. You do this as a business?
So, yes, we run...
The answer is yes.
Yes.
You use your home property. Is it your home property that you use?
Yes.
So you have a large enough piece of property that other people who want to make parties for their children do them at your house.
Yes.
So you took physical custody of this.
No.
Who did?
The renters, the people...
No, it's physical custody, not legal custody. We're not talking about legal custody. You took physical custody and put it on your property.
The people that signed the original rental agreement were on the property at the time that they dropped it off.
I don't care. It was on your property.
Yes, it was on our property.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
So it was on your property, but used by somebody else, and they were just using your property.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I had it rented out on Sunday. So when I dropped it off, I told Sandra that we would have to come at 6:30 in the morning to pick it up, to clean it and deliver it the next day. She agreed to that because normally we don't leave it overnight if it's going out the next day because we need to sterilize it. When we got there at 7 in the morning, we came in and we were getting ready to pick up the 38-foot obstacle. I noticed that the dogs had chewed, and there were 2 dogs, a boxer and another dog, were still running around and lifting their leg and urinating on the bouncer. We told her, your dog ate our obstacle. There's pieces of the vinyl, which I have pictures of it, where your dog just ate
You
it.
have pictures of our dog chewing it?
Just a second. I don't want to hear you again. I tried to ignore you quietly and figured you'd get the message. You don't shout out here. Go ahead.
My husband said, excuse me, miss, we have a problem. Your dogs have eaten our obstacle. So then she went in to go and get her husband. Her husband came out. He signed paper saying he was responsible for loss of rentals and the damages or replacement of it.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And also he sent text messages to our phone that same morning apologizing and saying he would do everything to replace it, plus the loss of rentals that we were going to lose.
I'd like to see those texts, and I would like to see his signature on a piece of paper assuming responsibility.
And then,
just a second.
And here's the text messages.
Oh, would you show this to Mr. Lang, please? Yes. Did you sign that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I signed it under distress.
Under distress?
Under distress.
There's no such thing. You mean duress?
Duress. She was...
Just a second. There's a difference between distress.
Duress.
Okay. At 7:29 a.m., you said, I, Aaron Lang, recognize and acknowledge that a jumper obstacle course has been damaged from a dog. I will take care of the repairs and work with the rental company and its owners to get this resolved ASAP. And then about 15 minutes later, you wrote, I'm so sorry again. Let me know when you drop it off, please. Okay, so you tried to drop it off the next day.
I was trying to drop it off the next day to Albert, our repair guy.
Just a second, just answer my question. It doesn't require a long answer. The next day, you were trying to get it resolved, and you're back and forth with him, let me know, et cetera, and then you don't hear from him.
No.
Then it stopped. Tried calling you, I tried messaging you to get this resolved.
Yes.
Okay, well, Mr. Lang, there's no question. You acknowledged the damage and you agreed to pay for it. That's what you have. Can I have that back? You acknowledged in here that you would take full responsibility for this. What's your defense?
My defense is when they arrived on the property to pick up their jumper that was left unaccounted for over.
No. When they arrived.
So when they arrived and they announced to us that there was damage to their obstacle course.
Well, they came to you first.
Yes.
Correct.
Is that, don't speak. They came to you first.
Yes.
You came outside.
Yes.
Okay, and when you came outside, you had a conversation with whom?
I believe Miss Robinson.
With Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
She just went hysterically, like upset that the jumper was damaged, and that's when I went inside and
Just a
dropped my
second.
husband.
What did she say?
She just started crying, and she,
Started to cry.
yeah, and she's like, your dog's damaged my obstacle course.
Just a second. So she was crying.
Yes.
And did you have any issue when she said to you, your dog's damaged my obstacle course? Did you see what was bitten off from the obstacle course? That's either a yes or no. The answer is yes. Okay. What kind of dogs do you have?
A German Shepherd and a Boxer.
And where had you stored this unit overnight?
It was left outside.
In the backyard, in the front yard?
We live on a huge ranch, so it's a 2.5 acre parcel. And it's been known that our neighbor dogs always hop.
I don't want to hear neighbor dogs. I don't want to hear coyotes. I don't want to hear bears.
My witness, he
Just a
is the repair
second.
guy.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new.
And later today,
You have the phone.
I do. To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan.
Tabitha and Brandon Robinson claim their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, refused to pay the cost of repairs after damaging their jumper house.
Okay, now I'm going to get back to you. So now your wife comes in to get you, and you went outside.
Yes.
And
I go outside,
who else is there?
just my wife and I.
So just the two of you?
Just the two of us were home.
And they were there?
And they were there.
Both
picking up
of
their
them?
equipment. Yes.
Okay.
And their daughter.
Okay, and?
I go outside. Miss Robinson is completely hysterical, crying, just out of control in hysterics.
Okay.
Her husband's yelling, screaming,
No,
profanity.
tell me. Oh, I want you to tell me exactly. No. I want you to tell me exactly. She's crying, and he starts yelling.
Yes.
Well, you came out and said what to them when you came out? And then I want to hear exactly what was said.
I asked to see the damage, for them to show me what was going on, what had happened. They showed me the damage. We both took pictures. Again,
No, you both
took
took,
pictures.
just a second. So he composed himself long enough to take pictures.
Yes.
And you were composed enough to take pictures.
Yes, I was.
Which you have.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Throughout, they're screaming.
No, I want you to tell me. Now you're
I'm
taking
telling you.
pictures, and?
Brandon is on the phone with their repair guy of some sort.
Okay, so he's on the phone. He's composed enough to be on the phone. Now, before he got on the phone with his repair guy, did you discuss with him your responsibility to take care of the damage? That's either yes or a no.
Yes.
Yes. So once you said, I'll take care of the damage, he got on the phone with his repair guy.
Before I agreed to take care of the damages, before we discussed that, he was already on the phone.
On the phone. Okay, and then he got off the phone, but you signed this the same day. So I want to know when in this conversation you signed it. You need something to lean on. Somebody has to give you a piece of paper. Somebody has to get a pen.
I did not fill out that piece of paper.
You don't have to.
Tabitha is the one that filled out the piece of paper in their vehicle.
Who did?
Miss Robinson is the one that filled it out in her vehicle.
Okay,
and then
so
handed
just
it
a
to me to
second.
sign.
So she got in her vehicle.
Crying in hysterics.
I don't care. She got in her vehicle, and where was her husband?
Outside loading the bouncer.
So he was outside.
Yes.
She went inside her vehicle, and he was busy.
Yes.
And you live in a house,
Yes.
and you felt pressured.
Yes.
You felt as if you were being extorted.
Bullied, yes.
Did you go inside to call the police?
No, I did not. I should have.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I did not.
You went over to the truck where she was hysterical. She wrote out this document, right?
Yes.
And you signed it.
Yes, I did.
There we go. Make my life very easy. Did your repair guy try to fix the bouncer?
I do have a receipt where we did have it, tried to get it temporary patch where we paid $600 just to make sure we could still rent it out. So that was paid for. This is my repairman. He is my witness. And then also I do have a paper with an estimate of what it would be to repair the obstacle.
May I see it, please? After he did this job, which he did on October 4th, from the 3rd to the 4th, did you rent it out?
No, we tried to, but I have pictures that I brought of what happens when the air flows through. The patches won't stay. You have to go up inside the bouncer and actually put a patch on the inside and the outside, and it would cost more money. My witness he
Just a
is the repair
second.
guy that can
What
tell
you're
you.
telling me is that your witness prepared this estimate of what it would cost to repair the jumper.
Yes.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new. Did you prepare this estimate to fix the jumper?
Yes, ma'am. That is the full estimate to repair it properly.
To do it
any
properly?
location. Yes.
Okay.
The first one was the temporary repair.
Listen, I got it. I'm a fast learner, and anybody who watches this program better learn to think fast too, because I have a lot of things to do today. So you prepare this. So for $2,500, in addition to the $600, did they pay you the $600? Yes. So in addition to the $600, so in total, $3,100 would fix the jumper.
Correct.
Great. That's what you agreed to pay, sir. You agreed to do the repairs on the jumper. Now, you want a new jumper. You're not going to get a new jumper. You're not going to get damages for lost income. He's going to fix the jumper. How long is it going to take you?
Roughly about 2 days.
2 days. Piece of cake. $3,100. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I don't owe them anything. I didn't rent the bouncer
I'm just happy that we're going to have our bouncer repaired.
because they're money hungry.
They're looking for a payday.
The truth always comes out, and what's right is what's right.
So initially, after reading the papers, I thought the plaintiffs, while perfectly matched in their tops, were suing the wrong people because these people didn't sign the rental agreement. So any damage or any agreement to pay damage, I was with you from the beginning that these are the wrong people. It came out that they had a little bit more involvement, the defendant, than they wanted.
They agreed to pay.
Exactly. He knew he did the wrong thing. He probably saw his dog destroy the jumper from the kitchen window and felt bad and knew that it was his responsibility. I don't think that they deserve $9,000 for a brand new jumper, but they deserve to get it fixed and to keep making money off of it.
Right.
Case 2178, Glad versus Sawbird. All parties, please come forward.
Serenity Glad is suing her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, for unpaid loans.
Ms. Glad, if my memory is correct, you are suing the defendant for a series of small loans that you claim she owes you for, and those loans were created, according to you, during a period of time that you and the defendant were either involved in a relationship and or engaged.
Yes.
How long do you know each other?
We've known each other since May of 2021.
And there came a time when the defendant came to live with you, or you went to live with the defendant?
I moved to Colorado to live with her.
And when was that?
That was in May of 2022.
When you moved in with her to Colorado, were you working?
Not at the time, no.
What kind of work did you do in Colorado?
I was unemployed.
How'd you support yourself?
A friend of the family helped me out due to my disabilities.
Who pays your rent?
The friend of the family.
Do you own a car?
I did.
Do you now?
No.
Are you working now?
Not at the moment, no.
Prior to that?
I was out in Colorado.
Working.
Yes.
For whom?
It was a local coffee shop.
Okay. Now you're living together. You are a couple. At some point you became engaged. And then something happened. What happened is probably irrelevant. What I want you to tell me is, from the point that you moved in, what loans do you claim you made to her?
I had paid part of a vet bill.
When was that?
That was at the end of May. I have the invoices here.
And what makes that a loan?
Because at the time she didn't have money and she had agreed to pay me back when she had gotten a job.
Did you agree to pay her back for this vet bill when you got a job?
No, ma'am. The friend of the family was going to pay for it all, but she insisted on paying it.
Tell me about that.
So in the vet office, I was messaging the friend of the family. and he was willing to pay it in full. And she was like, no, I'm going to pay for it. You need to quit asking him for money. I was like, he is the person that supports me right now. We do not have the money, so he's going to help us. She said that she would pay for half of it, I believe it was.
For half?
For half.
Okay.
So it was like $100.
How much was it?
$170.
Let's keep moving on.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. Not with phones anyway.
Serenity Glad claims her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, refuses to pay back loans given to her during their engagement.
Now, what other loans do you think she owes you for?
I had bought her tires for her car.
When?
That was on June 17th, I believe.
Were you using the car?
I was using the car.
Okay. For how long were you using the car?
About 2 months.
And what were you using the car for?
Getting to work.
So at that point, it was as much your vehicle as it was hers because she wasn't working. So you took the car to work.
Yes.
And the car needed tires.
Yes.
And?
So I ended up paying for them just for safety reasons, given that.
Well, it's your safety. You were driving it.
That's
right?
true. Yes.
Let's move on. Next loan.
On top of that, I had to pay for vet insurance for her dog.
She didn't have to.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And then even after I had left Colorado, she asked me to leave her dog on the plan and just pay me.
You have your own animals?
No.
No. So after you left Colorado, when you were no longer a couple, did you request that she continue to pay for the vet insurance? That's either a yes or a no.
I don't remember.
Well, she says you did. How many months did you pay after you left Colorado? Show me. After you left her, you were no longer a couple. How many months did you pay?
I had ended up paying
Just the months?
2 months.
And how much were those 2 months?
$71.46.
What's next?
After that, the biggest one is the phone that she has.
Tell me, when you got the phone, when she got a new phone, because I assume she had a phone, is that
Yes.
right?
I actually had just bought a brand new phone, and I insisted that I didn't need a new one.
What kind of phone did you buy?
iPhone 11 mini.
And?
I got the phone, and I have a hard time seeing, and I didn't have glasses, and I was like, it would be nice to have a larger phone. We actually originally went to get us on the same plan. I was going to keep my same phone, but I was looking at the phone. She was like, well, let's both just get new phones. I was like, that's not a good idea. She was like, well, let's just get them. It's fine. So I traded in my old phone for about $400, and we got the phone, and the agreement was, since I traded in my old phone, I still had to pay off the old phone because I just got it. So the agreement was I pay off my old phone, and to keep the service on, I would pay for my service and my data, and she would pay off the phone itself. That was our original agreement. And then a few weeks later, she's like, I never said that.
Okay. How much did you end up paying for her phone?
As of currently, there's $575 paid on her phone.
Do you still have that phone?
I do.
Can I see that there's $575 left on her phone? Not because you got two when you got new phones. So just hers.
I have this.
Is that for one phone?
That is
or
just
two?
for one phone, yes.
Okay, would you show this to the defendant, Kevin, please? And you have the phone.
I do.
And you're not paying for it.
I'm paying for the service for what we
Service.
agreed
I'm
on.
not talking about service. That receipt is for one phone.
Yes.
It says your phone was a little over $1,000.
Yes.
What was put down on the phone was almost $400. There was some payments made, and what's still owing on the phone is $514. That's what it says.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And you have the phone.
I do.
Great. So 7146 and 514 is 585. Anything else?
To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan. She'll go in, she'll get her own plan. Right now, what's due and owing on the phone is 514. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I suggest you get a new plan. You have your phone, get another
I've
plan.
been trying to, but she keeps...
I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. Not with phones anyway. Okay, 7146 and 514. My math is almost correct. It's $585.46. That's what she owes you.
$400 of that is from my old phone.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's what she owes.
Okay.
That's what she owes on it. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm okay with it.
I do think it was a very fair hearing.
I'm okay with it because I, just want things to be all right between us because she's still my best friend and I still love her.
I mean, I feel the same way. I do love her. She's my best friend. Same exact thing. I just hope things smooth over.
So I think naturally when you're engaged to be married to someone or when you're married or even in a very serious relationship for a year, you don't keep a laundry list of expenses. I took you to dinner this night for our anniversary, here's your half. We went on vacation, here's your half. So it makes it that much more important when you're in a serious relationship like that because in the eyes of the law, those things are sort of a wash in a relationship. So if you believe that something is really a loan, that you've both decided as partners, I know we're together, I know we do things together that we both cover the expenses and pay for, but this $1,000 phone is outside the scope of that relationship. Let's just write something down so that we remember that although we're together, this was a loan. It makes it all that much more important because...
And simple.
And simple, because otherwise the law is going to look at your relationship first and determine, is it one of those wash dinners or is it something that was legitimate? So it would just make it a lot simpler and if things don't work out in the end, easier for you to get your money back.
Laws is suing her niece, Janelle Laws, and her stepdaughter, Ari Scales, for the costs of a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2130, Laws versus Laws, Scales.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Laws, this young woman is your niece.
Yes.
And this young lady is the ward of your niece.
Yes.
You have guardianship over her. Is she related to you?
No, she's related to my wife.
Okay. But you have guardianship.
We both do.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
You had an automobile.
Yes.
It was an automobile that you allowed your niece to use, and it was at her house.
Yes.
That was in September of 2020. Her car was in the shop, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, your niece went out of town for a while?
Yes.
Do you remember what date that was?
October 17th of 2020.
And prior to your going out of town, had Miss Scales ever driven the car?
No.
Had you ever given her permission to drive the car?
No.
And Miss Scales, there did come a time in October of 2020 that you took the car.
Yes.
Tell me how you managed to get a hold of the car.
So the keys, we have a key hook in the front of our house, and I just used the keys there.
Did you ask anyone?
No.
Tell me why.
I had a scare that I was afraid to do by myself.
What kind of scare?
A pregnancy scare.
Okay. So you took the car to go where?
To who I was dating at the time.
What time of the day did you take the car?
Between the times of 4 and 6 p.m.
And at what time did you have an accident with the car?
I would say between 7 and 8 p.m.
Had you already seen the boyfriend?
No.
Where were you between 7 and 8? Where were you
Driving.
going? Driving to who?
To the boyfriend.
Oh, so it takes a while to get there?
Yes.
How long?
About an hour.
In any event, you had an accident.
Yes.
The car was totaled. You had insurance?
Yes.
And had you told your niece that you had insurance on the car?
Yes.
Okay, because she says that you had told her you had insurance on the car and you had a loan on the car. There was a note.
That's correct.
So when she borrowed the car, she knew it was insured. Did you also tell her that you had the gap insurance?
Yes.
And what year, make, and model of car was it?
A 2015 Mitsubishi Mirage.
Did you buy it new or used?
Brand new.
And how long was the loan on the car?
6 or 7 years. I think it was 6.
So by 2020, you had paid up most of the car.
Yes.
What was the balance left on the car?
I'm not exactly sure the exact balance that was left on the car.
Okay. How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $17,000. That's what it was financed at, so that's not with the finance charges.
Okay, so you paid 17. How much of a down payment did you put down?
I didn't put any money down on it.
So in 5 years between 2015 and 2017, you paid off about 80% of the car.
Yes.
What's the car worth now?
Based on 75,000 miles in good condition, I'm seeing between 5,500 and 7,500.
Okay. Now, after the accident, you put in a claim through your insurance.
Yes.
And your insurance covered how much?
The insurance paid out $7,379.
They wrote a check to the bank?
Yes, ma'am.
And can I see the paperwork on that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because what you're suing for now is another $8,496.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your insurance also paid on the other car that you had the accident with. You had an accident with a Ford Focus?
Yes.
Okay, so they paid $2,900 on that, and they paid you $7,379.
Yes, ma'am.
And show me what the note balance was on the car at the time that they paid this out, which would have been sometime in 2020 or maybe 21.
You want the balance after they paid out or before they paid out?
Both.
Okay. This is after they paid out.
And before.
I don't have a copy of what it was owed on before the accident.
Oh, I need a whole payout because what your niece says is that they paid you the value of the car, which clearly it was the value of the car, because the value of the car, according to Sarah, is between $5,000 and $7,000. They paid you $73.79, which clearly covered a substantial part of your note. What the defendant is saying is that during COVID, for financial reasons, you had requested that the payments be put on hold,
Right.
and that you not make any payments on the car, and that the interest would continue to accrue.
Right.
And that's not her fault. You asked to have the payments put off, but you drove the car. You had the benefit of driving the car all during COVID.
Right.
And she shouldn't be penalized. The insurance company paid out what the car was worth. These additional charges are because you put off making the payments during COVID, and it also accrued that interest. That's your defense. Am I right?
Yes.
That I have to see.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it. I want to see it.
The paper that you have there, that's from, it shows that a payment was made on that car on September 4th, 2020, and that was the last payment that was made. So if there were no payments being made during that time that she had the car, it was.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, when COVID started, did you
Yes.
put the payments on hold?
I did, because I was no longer working, so they gave me the option to delay my payment, which means they tack them on to the end.
And I understand that, but you were driving the car. You were driving the car. She's not going to pay for that.
She had the car from the beginning of September, and she was only supposed to have it for 3 days when her car got fixed.
It doesn't matter. First of all, you didn't bring me the documentation that I need. You didn't bring me what was actually owed on the car and what was owed on the car and how much was owed as a result of your deferring payments and interest.
When I did the stop payments on the car, it was before she even borrowed it.
Well, that may be, but if what you're telling me is you started to pay again, you still drove the car when you deferred payments.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, well, that's not her responsibility.
But the balance that's left on the car, they paid what the value of the car was. They said that they don't pay finance charges. So there was a balance of 37.
Well, the finance charges were finance charges that accrued, and you don't have the paperwork for me here.
$3,700 worth of finance charge for 2 months?
No, that's not for 2 months. I don't know what the finance charges were for. It doesn't say that. You don't have the paperwork here. You don't have the right paperwork. So you have to understand something. What you're suing her for is $8,496. First of all, the car is only worth $5,000. You got $7,300 that the insurance company paid directly to the lender. And I don't have what you owed here before the accident. I don't have that, and the payments that you deferred. If you deferred payments prior to that time, that's your responsibility.
But I only deferred payments for 3 months. That's not going to
Just a
amount
second.
to $3,700.
I have no idea. You should have brought the paperwork. This is not that paperwork.
So I'm out of a whole car. Like, I've invested almost $10,000 into this car. I let her use the car, and
that's what your insurance for.
And now I'm just not out only the $3,700. Now it's been late charges and other charges on that, and now it's $6,000 that's on my credit.
You deferred the payments. I can't tell how many months you deferred the payments. You said maybe I deferred 3 payments. I don't know. You didn't bring me the paperwork.
I deferred.
You can't tell me.
If she would have never had the car, then I would have been responsible totally to pay all of that amount. It's cost me more than just this amount that's still on my credit.
She didn't do anything wrong so far. I mean, you had the 21-year-old girl who shouldn't have taken the car keys without permission.
And later today,
You write to her that you saw her take some stuff, and you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me. Friends don't steal from friends, so I won't burn you for what I borrowed. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing.
Jennifer Laws claims her niece, Janelle Laws, and her stepdaughter, Ari Scales, owe the balance on her car after Ari totaled it in an accident.
She says you deferred the payments. That was the reason for these overages, which I can understand, because otherwise the insurance company, and if you had gap insurance, which you say you did, would have paid any gap between the loan.
My gap insurance was only until a certain amount of time, and then after that, the gap insurance only pays a certain amount.
I don't know any of that. What I need from you, you didn't bring. You brought only what was necessary to put forth your position. I need what was owed on the car and for past due payments with accrued interest and for current payments. And you don't have that. So far, all I know is you had full insurance on this car and the full insurance was paid. And if there was a reason that the insurance company, for some reason, didn't pay an amount of money, I don't have an explanation of that here in what you gave me, except the explanation that she offers, which was during COVID, you deferred your payments and the interest was accruing. And that the insurance company was not going to pay because that was done prior to October.
That's not
2020.
That's not true. I deferred 1 or 2 payments.
Well, 2 minutes ago, was that 3 payments?
Because, ma'am, I'm sorry. Let me just explain that. During this time, April 2020, I lost my mother to COVID. So I had 2 cars. I had the pink car and I had the car that I gave to my mom, which is a black car, which was also in my name that I was responsible for. The car that I put the deferred payments on was the Kia Optima. That's the one that I put the deferred payments on. This car, I had a couple late payments, but I never stopped paying that car note.
I can't tell you. You don't have the paperwork. All that I can tell you is the insurance company paid everything that they were supposed to pay, including the gap insurance for this accident. So I can't help you.
Did not pay.
Listen to me. I'm not going to repeat myself. This doesn't tell me how much you owed prior to the accident and what it was for. And if it shows that all you owed currently prior to the accident, it had to show that that was $73.79 and it included the gap insurance. You may have had old finance fees that had nothing to do with her.
The gap insurance never paid.
I can't help you, madam. You don't have the right paperwork.
If she would have never had the car, then I would have been responsible totally to pay all of that amount. But because I don't have a car, it disrupted my life. It's cost me more than just this amount that's still on my credit.
She didn't do anything wrong so far. I mean, you had a 21-year-old girl who shouldn't have taken the car keys without permission. But the car was there, and it was there with your permission, and there's no question that the accident was her fault.
I have been asking her to return my car.
If you have the proof, the only thing I want you to show me is a document from your lender which says how much was owed at the time of the accident and for what. Do you have that?
I don't, because I didn't think that I needed it.
Okay, well, then I can't help you. Today's a court day. This is the day you have.
I have a ton of evidence
We're done.
here.
Madam, you don't have the evidence that I need. Your request for $9,000 for a $5,000 car in which you've already been paid $7,300 is ridiculous. So all I have to see is how much was deferred and the interest on the accrued that you deferred while you were using the car before she had it for this 5 or 6 weeks that she had it in September. If you have that, I'll look at it. If you don't have it, I'm not interested. Do you have
the paperwork that you have?
Well, then I'm going to give it back to you, and you're going to show me where it shows here in October of 2020 how much you owed on the car and how much were past payments and finance charges based on the last payments. You understand what you gave me? If I could make this as simple as possible for you, if you never loaned her the car, if you had the car for that 5-week period and you had an accident with the car during that 5-week period, you would be in the exact same position you are now. The company would have paid off what they paid and would not have paid off what you still owe them because you deferred payments. It doesn't matter who was driving the car.
And I do understand
okay,
that.
good.
And
I'm glad you understand. I'm glad you understand it.
My car.
I'm glad you understand that. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
She needed to borrow my car.
It was just a bad accident. It was just me, young, got into an accident.
So I thought that I was helping her. You know, so when this balance is due, I'm the one that's out.
The car hit me and ran the light and it hit me.
You know, I'm the one that suffered. I'm the one that got to pay all of that money.
I'm fine.
So I don't think that it was fair at all.
So for a period of time, let's say 6 or 7 months, her numbers kept changing. First it was 3 months she didn't pay, and then it was 1 or 2 months that she didn't say, and she may have been late a little bit. Well, the insurance company's not going to give you credit for that. And it didn't look to me, based on the papers, that there was any animus between the parties until
right now.
Today. And then maybe she should be angry with me and not at them. But they all know each other and get along with each other. So that the amount of money she has to pay is the amount of money she should have paid while she was driving the car but chose to defer.
And I think that that's a good lesson about deferring payments, especially now with COVID and everything. I know people my age, 25, around there, have been deferring payments, whether it be for car notes or for interest on your loans, things like that, that sometimes she didn't even realize that this was all accruing under the surface. So you think that by deferring, if you don't read the fine print, that could be a good lesson that if an accident
she said she had a lot of
happens-
other things going on in her life, but that...
And again, it was an accident. You don't call it an on purpose. So.
Right.
Case 2133, Morrissey versus Comer. All parties, please come forward.
Tabitha Morrissey is suing her former friend, Tina Comer, for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Ms. Morrissey, you have a lot of claims here against the defendant for a personal loan and the value of personal belongings.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. She was a friend of yours. You used to go gambling together, Ms. Morrissey?
Yes, we did.
How many times a week did you go gambling?
Probably once or twice a week.
And did you go just the two of you?
Yes.
And over what period of time?
Over
a year, 2, 3?
Probably a year.
There was a time when you went, and according to you, Ms. Comer didn't have any money. And so you agreed to advance her money. And she says, actually, you agreed to advance her money. And the agreement was if you won, she would pay you back with her winnings, whatever it was. Whatever it was. How much money did you give her to gamble?
I loaned her $230 with the agreement that she would pay me an extra $200 because she was going to get her mother's inheritance.
Okay. On what date?
April 28, 2022.
Okay. And you went gambling with her?
No. She came by and we were going to go meet at the casino, but I didn't really want to do it because I have a boyfriend that doesn't
Just a second. I don't need a whole story.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So she went to the casino without me, and then she came by my house after that and told me that she spent her boyfriend's money at the casino, and so that she was supposed to use it at the store. And so I gave her the money to cover that, and that's when we made that agreement.
You gave her the money to cover that because she asked you for it?
Yes.
And she agreed to pay you back?
Yes.
Okay. February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
Tabitha Morrissey claims her former friend, Tina Comer, owes for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Go.
No, it was in February.
February.
I won a jackpot.
Just a second. February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Okay. Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
$30 of it. Okay. But in February, I won a jackpot, and I didn't have my license with me because I lost my wallet. And they told me I had to come back with my license to get it.
I don't want to hear you.
Sorry.
So I asked Tabitha if she would take me back up to get my jackpot money, and I would pay her the money that I owe her, plus give her $60 for gas. And that's when I paid her the money back. And then her boyfriend also, there's some guy that she brought up there with us, asked if he can borrow some money because he said Tabitha said she'll pay me back. So I gave him $100 too.
When you came back and told her that you had lost some of your boyfriend's money, according to you, it was $30, not $230.
It was $30. I already paid her the $2-something when she took me to Cass Creek in February.
Oh, that was before.
Yeah, that's why I didn't owe her no money. But I paid her back in February, the money that I did owe her. I got proof of it too.
I'd like to see it.
And I got proof that, okay.
Take it out. I'll see whatever proof you have over this loan.
Okay, yes.
And
come on, let's go.
Okay, well, here's where I won the money.
Proof. I also got proof of her saying that when she still owed me the money back in May. I got proof of that too.
Casino check. I'm not interested in this.
That's when I won the money.
I don't care.
And the other one shows when I had to go back and pick it up.
I don't care about that either.
And then...
Shh. April 28th. I can loan you some. That's in April.
Yeah, I said April 28th.
So that's when she asks for some money?
Yes.
And that was the $230?
Yes.
I'd like to see what you have.
This is...
That's April. That's not February.
No. That's in June when she told me what she owed me in cash-wise.
Okay. So on June 11th, Ms. Comer, you write to her that you saw her take some stuff.
Yes.
Some beads, or friends took beads that belonged to you. And you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me. Friends don't steal from friends. So I won't burn you for what I borrowed, which is $230. But I decided I will not give you the other $200. So I'm just not going to give you the extra. That's what it's going to cost you for stealing from me. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing. So I'm only taking back what I was going to give you. We had to sign some more papers, so I should get it any day, and I will text you when I get it. I'm also missing a half box of sunglasses, and that girl is going to get it. She lied saying the hair clippers were hers. I don't care about all that. Okay, I'm going to deal with this loan of $230. And it's clear from your statement, Ms. Comer, although it's usurious interest, and I'm not going to grant you that other $200 because it's outrageous. She's giving you 100% interest on the $230, but you are entitled to your $230 back.
But
okay, because she acknowledges, just a second, she acknowledges the debt on June 11th. Now, what about the personal belongings that you say? And don't give me a lot of nonsense. I'm not listening to a lot of nonsense.
Okay, yes. She came to me and said she wanted to do a yard sale, so we were going to do it in May.
Okay, you were supposed to do a yard sale.
Yes.
It worked for a week. It didn't work the next week. What items do you say she has of yours?
She has jewelry of mine.
I'm not listening to jewelry. Show me the insurance receipts for jewelry. Come on, let's go. What does she have of yours?
I can show you the pictures of her yard sale that does have my stuff in it.
Well, what did she end up with your stuff for? You were there at the yard sale.
I didn't have a car, so she came and picked me up and took me to my storage to go get my yard sale stuff to take over to her house to do it in the yard sale. She was supposed to contact me and come get me when she was getting ready to do the yard sale. I stayed the night at her house, and we were setting up all night long because it was a really big yard sale. It was more like a flea market type thing. And she never contacted me after dropping me back off at home, and she said that my box of jewelry fell out of my stuff when she was loading it up because she fell. So when she got home that night after dropping me off, she said it was in the driveway.
You have that in text
That was
message?
my personal belongings.
You have it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you. So this looks like a lot of cheap plastic crystals.
No, my wedding ring was in that box. I had my box of jewelry with me to go through when I stayed the night at her house, and I was taking out the other jewelry, and the box that was coming with me home, she was loading it up, and she said it fell out of her car. So I don't see how it fell out, but she said it did. So when she got there that night, she said she'd seen it in her driveway. So, I mean, that had my wedding ring in it. And I was in the middle of getting a divorce, but it still means something to me.
$230. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Everything she said was a lie about the money, about all her stuff. Everything was a lie.
Because she just doesn't want to pay me my money.
She could just wants to get money out of me. Because I won 2 jackpots and I got my mother's inheritance.
It hurts very much.
She's done.
I don't even care to see her.
That was really very simple when you discarded this garage sale and crystal beads listed as some of the items in the text message that were their boyfriends. Tweezers. When you got rid of that, it was actually pretty simple.
Cash loan, $230.
Cash loan, $230 that she acknowledged in June. So, relatively easy.
Yeah.
Some easy.
Some not.
Some not.
Erica Martinez is suing her cousin, Tina Archuleta, and her wife, Felicia Archuleta, for the balance of an RV and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2096, Martinez versus Archuleta.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, each of you are suing each other for the hefty sum of $10,000. Ms. Martinez, you say you were like a cousin to one of these defendants. Which one?
Tina.
That would be you.
That'd be me.
And your name is?
Felicia Archuleta.
You live together?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
It is your claim that Tina purchased from you an old RV for $1,000, that she currently has possession of the RV, that she has not paid for the RV, and that when you went to their home to collect the money for the RV, that one of them assaulted you.
Both of them.
The defendants say that the original purchase price, which was $1,000, was reduced because the RV was not running. They paid you the $200. Did you give her the $200?
I did.
You did, and that was the day that you took the RV.
No.
When?
That wasn't the day that I took it. So what happened?
No. You took the RV. When did you give her the $200?
This was after I already had it.
Did you ever get $200 from the defendants?
No, I didn't. I received $160 from Tina.
Okay, so let's get back to the RV. How long did you have the RV? And it was just sitting on your property, is that right?
Right.
How long have you had it?
I've had the RV for about 6 years.
What did you do with it? Did you travel with it?
I lived in it for about 2 months, and then I parked it. And
so it was running?
Yes.
But at the time you wanted to get rid of it, it wasn't running?
No.
Did you know what was wrong with it?
Yes, the fuel pump was going bad on it, so we had to replace that.
But it didn't start. They had to have it towed.
Right.
Tina towed it.
Right.
back to their property.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so when they took it, the agreement was that they were to pay you how much?
$1,000.
And you acknowledged that you were supposed to pay $1,000.
Yes.
Did you get the title at that time?
Not at that time.
You did not?
No.
Is that correct? At the time that they took the RV and had it towed, they gave you no money?
They gave me no
money. Subsequently, they gave you $160.
Correct.
According to you. And tell me under what circumstances they gave you the $160. Tina did.
I went over to their house and they gave me the money in hand.
Okay, and what did you give them?
Well, they had the RV given, the title given to them the day that they took the RV.
And then $160.
Mm-hmm.
Did she ever give you any other money?
No.
Now, when did you go over, according to you, to the property to get the rest of the money? And tell me what happened. What date?
It was August 27th in the evening. I called Tina and told her I was on my way. I went over to her property and
You drove?
I drove my car to her property, and Felicia was outside loading the car.
That's Felicia?
Correct.
That's you.
And so I asked her, where is Tina? She says she is inside. I said, well, can you call her? So she called Tina on her phone. So Tina came out and she comes up to me and says, what's up? And I said, I'm here to get my money. And Tina tells me, no, you're not getting nothing. I told you you're going to get it when I have it. I said, no, that is not the deal. I want all my money or I'm taking the RV. Now, I have text messages that show that about the RV, about her saying, well, if it's going to be such a problem, you come and pick up the RV and your title. I'm coming to have it picked up tonight. You need to make sure that, not to touch it. And I'm
Who was living in the RV at the time?
I had my friends in there that would help me try to get it started.
So friends of yours were living in the RV? Okay,
And she told
go
me.
ahead.
Okay, and so I told her that I was going to throw them out because she has not paid me for my RV. And then in the text, she also replies that, well, if I wanted to be grimy, I got the title and I could go ahead and keep it. And I do have proof of that.
I would like to see those texts.
Here's the proof. Here you go. There's some more. Those ones.
Well, you acknowledge in the text back and forth that you owe her $800.
Yeah, I never said I didn't. The thing is,
okay.
Can I tell you one thing?
All I'm asking is you acknowledge that you owe her $800.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I told Tina I'm done with it all. I'm going to make sure that I have someone pick up the RV tonight. And she got upset, screamed, no, you're not. It's a done deal. No, it's not. And I said, I'm getting my RV tonight.
Later.
You chose not to do this shower?
Well, it's not that I didn't choose not to do it. It's she went to Twitter and threatened to beat butt. And I'm not doing business if you want to fight me.
Erica Martinez claims her cousin, Tina Archuleta, and her wife, Felicia Archuleta, owe for the balance of an RV. Tina and Felicia are countersuing for slander and an assault.
Okay, so I have $800 balance for the RV. Now, you want to tell me about this alleged assault, which, according to you, is worth another $9,000?
Well, yes. Well, as I was speaking with Tina about it after that, me and her were going back and forth. And we were yelling at each other, and then her wife got involved, and I told her, you need to stay out of it. And then I told Tina, I'm done with it all. I'm going back. I'm going to make sure that I have someone pick up the RV tonight. And she got upset, screamed, no, you're not. It's a done deal. No, it's not. You're not doing this. And I said, yes, I am. I'm getting my RV tonight. And then I turned around, went into my car. Felicia says, you ain't getting no spit on me from the passenger side. And Tina runs up and punched me in my face, and my glasses flew this way. And that's when I told her, that's it, she's in trouble now. And so that's.
Do you have a police report on that?
I do.
And photographs? Do you have any medical record?
I do got the medical records. They're right here.
Okay, this is standard fare. It doesn't give me.
It shows that I did go to the doctor's 2 days after because I was having migraines. And I was showing that.
That's why I'm not understanding it, because it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have photographs of your alleged injury to your face?
No, I have the police reports, but it takes 15 days for them.
But just a second. All I'm asking you is, you don't have medical records of the day of this injury. You had a headache. 2 days later, you went to the hospital. So this is useless to me. You don't have photos of your injury, and you don't have a police report. Is that what you're telling me?
I do have the police number for it, but I don't have the report on me.
Well, no. Okay. So far, they owe you $800. Now you have a counterclaim because you acknowledge you owed her $800. You have a counterclaim for harassment, slander, and assault. Who are you alleging the plaintiff assaulted?
Can I
Who are you?
back to something?
No. Who are you alleging the plaintiff assaulted? That would be you. That's Felicia. How did the plaintiff assault you?
She ran me over.
She tried to run her over.
Tried to run me over.
Well, there's a difference between running you over and trying to run you over. Did she run you over, or did she attempt to run you over?
She attempted to run me over.
Okay. So that at best would be an attempted assault.
Yes.
So you suffered no injuries?
No.
Okay. Do you have any police report?
I do, Your Honor.
Indicating that you told the police on that date that she attempted to run you over?
This is the one where it says where she tried to run my wife over.
Okay, I'd like to see it, please.
This is the original.
No, I don't. That's all I want. Okay, so it says I told her to start the truck up and move her car because I was leaving and she was behind us, still arguing. So she put it in gear and tried to hit my wife. Is that what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you suffer any injuries?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Okay. So this case is a very simple one.
And then, Your Honor,
Tina, the case is a very simple one. You owe her $800 for the balance of the RV, which you acknowledge in your text.
But
the only other part that you have is for slander. Now, you say that in your cross-complaint, the plaintiff has slandered you. I'd like to see the evidence that you have that she has slandered you. May I see it, please?
I need to show her she wanted the dog.
This isn't slander. I mean, she calls you nasty names, but sticks and stones, and she says they wouldn't pay me for my stuff, my RV, and so forth. That's not slander.
Can I say one thing that I need to get out there? Because originally, the first thing before even doing any of this, she wanted a puppy. And that's where all this title and everything came in.
I read that.
She wanted a puppy.
I read that, and then she changed her mind.
Yeah, and that's where we got the title.
I don't care. You owe her $800. You acknowledge in your text messages.
Try to keep the peace.
Listen to me. I don't care. You acknowledge that you owed her $800, the balance of the $1,000 for the RV. She came to try to get it. There was an argument, and it got nasty. You owe her, Tina, the $800 that you agreed to pay her, the balance of the RV. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I'm very happy with it.
She wanted a dog. That's why she gave me the title.
She had asked me if I wanted a puppy, but she said that she'd make a deal with me and only charge me $1,200, which she changed her words and it was $1,500, so I did not get the puppy.
I tried to keep the peace and say, oh, okay, I'll pay you after she changed her mind.
She's a good liar.
She's just a liar. I don't care. She needs money more than I do.
I honestly think it's ridiculous. We should never have to come to this. The Shane family.
It's all good.
No more family for sure.
This case was another great example of why it's so important, especially with family and friends, if you're going to sell something of value, to have it in writing. People assume with strangers, oh, of course I should have a writing when I'm selling something. But when it's to a friend or a family member, that gift and loan line are very close together, and a writing proves to this court very easily which one of the two it is. So I think that that's a great takeaway from cases like these.
It is. It's a great takeaway. I've always said that when you apply for a marriage license, usually you just have to show your citizenship, date of birth, but I actually think that a marriage license should include all the property that you claim as separate property.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be easy? It would do away with probably 30% or 40% of the divorce proceedings that become acrimonious because you sort of lay it out. So I think that really writing is always important, because at the time, you're usually happy with each other. At the time that you're contesting that sale, you're not so happy. So if you have a writing or if you have a license, it makes everybody's job and your stress level reduced. And I'm all about reducing my stress level.
Of course.
Case 2150, Thomas Williams versus Gilmore. All parties, please step forward.
Diamond Thomas and Rumby Williams are suing Rumby's former friend, Shamia Gilmore, for a deposit and the costs of a brunch.
Diamond, this is your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you were planning a baby shower?
It was actually a sipping seed for her.
What is that?
So it's like family and friends weren't allowed to really come to the hospital, so we decided to have a little event after the baby turned 6 weeks.
Okay, so that was October 22nd.
Yes.
You hired Miss Gilmore as the caterer of that little event. She quoted you a price of $500 to cater the event, and you gave her a $250 deposit.
Correct.
Then some stuff bothered you a little bit because you, according to what I read, you found some either text messages or whatever between the defendant and boyfriend, which you felt were a little too cozy by her.
Yes.
And you gave her a buzz and you sort of had it out with her. I don't want you to do this anymore, whatever. Anyway, you called her back and said, yes, I want you to do it. She ended up not doing this sip and see. And she finally called you and said, I'm not doing it. I don't like the attitude, I'm not doing it. And you said, fine, give me my $250 back. She said, no. So you're suing her for not only your deposit back, $250, you did hire other people to cater the event.
No, we did it ourselves.
And you want her to pay $1,025 because you said that that's what it cost you over and above $250 plus the rest.
Yes.
Well, that you can't have. An offer and acceptance and a meeting of the minds. That was the contract. That doesn't have to be in writing.
We have a verbal agreement via
That's what
Instagram.
That's what I just said.
So it is in writing.
Who cares?
Diamond Thomas and Rumby Williams claimed Rumby's former friend, Shamia Gilmore, owed for a deposit and the cost of a brunch.
Okay, you're going to tell me you chose not to do this shower? You chose not to do it?
Well, it's not that I didn't choose not to do it. It's she went to Twitter and threatened to beat butt, and I'm not doing business. If you want to fight me,
okay.
It doesn't make sense to be
Okay, well, I don't blame you. If she went to Twitter and said something nasty about you, then I wouldn't do her baby shower, sip and see, whatever they call it. I wouldn't do it either. Then you have to give her back her $250.
And I bought items for the brunch already. I offered the mimosa bar back and I offered $125 back. She wants the whole thing. If I already spent money out my pocket, there's no way you think I'm finna give you a whole $250. That doesn't make sense.
Well, just a second. Okay, let me see what she wrote about you on Twitter.
And also just...
Shh. So what you're saying is you actually made a purchase?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have proof of that purchase that you made?
I have the mimosa bar. I don't have it with me, but I didn't print anything off.
I don't even know what that is. What is a mimosa bar?
So it's where you put the mimosa glasses on it's a grass wall, but it has where you hang the cups up on the wall with the mimosa glass, like the champagne flutes that you put on the wall. And then it has...
Have you used that before?
No, I bought one before, but I still have it brand new.
Just a second. Have you used it before? You're a caterer.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Quite a few.
How many?
2 hands, maybe 7 or 8 times.
Okay, and you buy a new one each time you use it?
Yes, ma'am, I let them keep it.
Just a second, you let them keep it. Well, now you can keep this one and use it next time.
Okay.
And I would like to say something about the $950 that she owed us. We gave her a deposit of $250, and she is claiming that we had made anything threatening towards her.
No, just a second.
And she canceled on us. And so I feel that we didn't have enough ample time to be able to find another caterer to do our event.
Well, that's too bad.
Can I ask why?
Absolutely, because you're entitled to your money back, but your contract was for her to do a party, which she ended up not doing.
Can we see the contract? Because I don't.
No, you haven't. We
don't have the contract.
Yeah,
yes, you do. You had an agreement. She was going to do an event for you on October 22nd. You agreed for her to do the event for you on October 22nd. And you gave her a $250 deposit. That's a contract. It's an oral contract. You had an offer. You had an acceptance. That's a contract. An offer and acceptance and a meeting of the minds. She was going to do the event for $500. You paid her $250. That was the contract. That doesn't have to be in writing.
We have a verbal agreement via
That's what
Instagram.
That's what I just said.
So it is in writing.
Who cares?
Well, it was the point that how are we supposed to be compensated for everything that we had to do after she canceled?
Well, you have to grow up. You have a baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is this your only baby?
Yes.
Great, you have a baby. You have to grow up. I grew up so much, the old me would have beat out one of you. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Would you show this to the plaintiff? I'm just curious. She's going to give you back your $250 anyway. She chose not to do the event.
What?
I don't know what that is. I'm showing it to you. She gave me to show me something that you wrote.
You want me to read it?
No, I'm just asking
you what it is.
No, I'm just asking you if you were the author of that.
Yes.
And who did you write it about?
It was just a general statement. It wasn't about anybody in particular. That's why I didn't
give that back.
direct it. The name.
Very, very easy. Your baby nice? You happy with your baby?
Yes.
Very good. You have nothing to do with her anymore?
No.
Good. You have a mimosa wall? Use it for another event. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I don't agree with the judge's decision.
I'm satisfied with the $250 and knowing that Shamia was wrong to keep our deposit after she canceled on us.
It's just a lot of mess. I won't do business with them ever again.
It is what it is. If she felt some type of way, that's on her.
I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing.
We just won't ever do business with her again because she is very unprofessional, just like the tweet said.
Do you know it's an exciting day when at my age you learn something new?
We learn a lot of new things here.
Learn a lot of new things here. So I've just about mastered the engagement party, the wedding, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, quinceañeras, christenings, baptisms, baby showers, if I haven't mentioned that, anniversary parties. But this is the first time I ever heard that expression, a sip and see.
Yeah, I think it's a new thing. I think COVID probably played a role in it, about people not wanting to have big parties or interact with large numbers of people, especially before giving birth with all the hospital requirements. So I like the idea. I've only been to one or two, but the idea is you wait for your child to be about 6 weeks old, so they've been vaccinated, and
they're not vaccinated when you're 6
Well, the first round of baby shots, and then they're able to see family and have a baby shower where the baby is included. So
I'll add it to my list of
I'll see if I could find one for you.
Is suing her ex-boyfriend, Andrew Talon, for the cost of a car he wrecked during an accident.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2163, Raquel versus Talon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Rocco, this is basically what the case is about. You and the defendant were in a relationship. You have one child together. And it is your claim that some 3 years ago, he took your car with your permission. You were living together at the time. He took your car and had an accident.
Correct, yes.
And that was 3 years ago. And you want him to pay $5,000 on a car that Sarah has already checked, which is worth
between $1,400 and $3,000.
Which is worth a quarter of that. Do you understand?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I want you to forget about $5,000. So if he's responsible for anything for the car, he's responsible for what its value is, which is about $1,400. How long had you been living together when he borrowed the car?
About a year.
Okay. And was your child born during that time?
Yes.
What month and year was the child born?
August 2018.
When was the first time that you asked Mr. Talon for money for this car that had been in an accident?
After he was released from jail, he got arrested from a previous warrant at the scene of the accident, directly from the hospital. So when he was released from jail.
What was the date of the accident?
April 30th, 2019.
And how long were you held in jail, sir?
I believe June 11th or so, roughly almost 6 weeks.
What was the warrant for?
Domestic battery.
Against whom?
Against Eve.
Against her?
Against Eve. Yes, against her.
Well, you were living together. Did you file another complaint after the accident?
No, I didn't. There was a warrant from the initial complaint.
And what year was that?
That was around November of 2018.
But you remained living together and you had a child together. Why didn't you just withdraw that case?
I did withdraw it. I didn't realize that a warrant had been released until it was acted upon.
Well, when he was arrested and he was held in jail, he contacted you, correct?
Yes.
Of course he did, because he said, what's going on? We're living together. We have a child. What's this warrant for domestic battery?
It just took time for me to get it dismissed.
No. What I'm asking you is he contacted you.
Yes.
And when he was released in June of 2019, where did he go to live?
He came back.
For what period of time?
About a month, maybe 2 months at the most.
And you lived together as a couple with the baby?
Yes.
And how old was the baby at the time?
He would have been about between 6 and 8 months off the top of my head.
And the two of you cared for him?
Yes.
And during that 2 or 3 month period, there was no discussion that you have in writing about paying back for the car?
Not in writing.
Not in writing?
Yeah.
Now, what happened after the 2 months?
He began exhibiting behaviors that were the behaviors of somebody who was using drugs. Again, he was clean for a long period of time, and his attitude changed, his behaviors changed, and I decided that it was time for him to go back to his mother's house.
And he did?
Correct, yes.
It was after a couple of months?
Yes.
So that would have been in maybe August or September, is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in August or September. Did he continue to see his son?
He did, yeah. I would bring Eden down to his mother's house for them to have visits together. His mother has always been a safe spot for them to visit.
And how long did you do that?
Up until recently. We're pretty much his whole
Recently,
life.
so you're talking about 19, 20, 21.
Yes.
Right? And
there was a period of time where, because he was living with his mother at first, there was a period of time where I didn't know where he was living. It made me uncomfortable that I was bringing my son, even though they were visiting at his mother's house. It made me uncomfortable that he wouldn't let me know an address for him, just in case anything happened, just in case, anything happened, basically. He didn't give me an address for me to find him or for me to know where Eden might be if anything were to happen.
So what I'm getting is for 3 years after this accident, there was no request that you can demonstrate. Now, you weren't together, certainly, so for the last 2 years, you never went and filed claiming that he owed you money for the car.
So I did. Sorry.
Is that correct?
No, I did attempt to file several times, but I didn't have an address for him. I tried to file once for an address where he was at his mother's.
Do you have any proof of that?
I do not.
No. You continued to bring your son for visitation with his father.
Correct.
Which is a very easy thing to do. You're a smart enough gal, I'm gathering that. You bring a friend, you serve him personally with a summons and complaint. So the answer is for 3 years you did nothing. Now I'm going to find out why. After 3.5 years, you filed this complaint over a $1,400 car. The child is no longer in your custody.
Temporary.
The child is no longer in your custody. The child is in the physical custody of the paternal grandmother, and that is by court order.
Yes.
And they found that the child would be at risk in your custody.
Yes.
Eve Rockhill claims her ex-boyfriend, Andrew Talon, owes for totaling her car. Andrew is countersuing for emotional distress and attorney fees after Eve took their son.
Okay. You bring a friend, you serve him personally with a summons and complaint. So the answer is for 3 years you did nothing. Now I'm going to find out why. After 3.5 years, you filed this complaint over a $1,400 car. Now, Mr. Talon says in his cross-complaint that there came a time when you left the state, the jurisdiction, that was the child's home state.
Yes.
And when did you leave the jurisdiction?
That was in September of 2021.
And you went from where to where?
We went from Florida. We stopped in South Carolina for a period of time. We had a little vacation before we had to go, because we were going to work. We were going to clear a property out for sale.
So you left the jurisdiction with the child?
Yes.
Prior to that, Mr. Talon had been seeing the child regularly at his mother's house?
Yes.
Did you tell him you were leaving?
Yes.
What did he say when you told him you were leaving?
He didn't really say anything. He just wanted to spend time with him, which he was, they did spend time together before we left.
Not before. After you left, you moved to New Jersey.
I didn't move. I didn't move to New Jersey.
What did you do?
So, like I said, we went there to liquidate a house that we have there. It took longer than expected.
How long?
It took about 5 months, 6 months. Things happened with the closing. Deals were made and fell through.
How long did you tell him you were going to be away?
I was only supposed to be away for 2 weeks.
That's a big deal, Miss Rockhill. That's a big deal.
It is.
Because if he says, I'm taking Eden for a 2-week vacation, if that's okay, I know you took him away, I'd like to take him away for a 2-week holiday, and he goes away for 6 months, you wouldn't like that.
I would not.
You would not. Well, he's a parent just like you are. That's what the law says. The law says men, women treated just about equally when they have a child. If you said to him, I'm going away for 6 months, and he said, okay, well, then you agree to. But you said, we'll be away for 2 weeks. And it lasted longer.
Yes,
and during the time that it lasted longer, about 6 months longer than it was supposed to, what arrangements did you make for your son to see his father?
They had video calls regularly. I told him I would be back as soon as I could.
Just a second. So the answer is, you did not make any, because he has a counterclaim here.
Yes.
And his counterclaim is the fact that you took the child out of the jurisdiction and deprived him of the ability to see the child. Subsequently, due to circumstances, and I'm not sure what that is, the child is no longer in your custody.
Temporary.
The child is no longer in your custody. The child is in the physical custody of the paternal grandmother. Is that correct? And that is by court order.
Yes.
The beginning of that process was made in what month and year?
July of 2022.
Was that a child protective proceeding?
It was, yes.
And I assume that if there was a child protective proceeding, that the court found that based upon whatever was alleged in the petition that was not brought by him, but by the Department of Social Services or Child Welfare Administration, they found that the child would be at risk in your custody.
Yes.
And as a result of that, they took the child into care. And this is all stuff, because I've been here. This is my bread and butter. Instead of placing the child in a strange foster home, they placed the child with the defendant's mother.
Correct.
For how long a period? 18 months?
Indefinite. There's no specified period of time. However,
well, they have to, if the court is placing a child through the state, unless you relinquish your parental rights. Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Unless you relinquish your parental rights or the court terminated your parental rights, they have to review this case periodically to see whether either one of you, as parents, are ready to assume custody of the child. Right? So when is this case going to be reviewed?
I believe the next review is in February.
February of this year?
This year, correct, yes.
That's a reasonable answer, so that you do know. So that's the change in circumstance. Now, getting back, Miss Rockhill, to what motivated you after 3 years, after you gave him permission to drive the car and he had an accident, and you made up this whole baloney story in your complaint that says, police arrested Andrew at the scene of the accident because I had previously filed a domestic abuse charge against him and there was a warrant. But you were living together during the time that there was this outstanding warrant. You were living together and conceived a child with him.
The child was already conceived. He was already born at the time of the domestic violence altercation.
He was about 2018?
In the end of 2018, yes. He was born in August. The altercation happened in November. So he was very young.
But you reunited and were living together with him as a family?
Yes.
Right. The police arrested Andrew on a domestic abuse charge and there was a warrant. When Andrew was released from jail, he disappeared.
So
that's what, just a second, that's what you say here. He disappeared. My car was fully paid off and I had no liability insurance. Andrew refused to pay for my total car and he refused to see our son. He moved and went into hiding. That's what you signed. That's your complaint. I tried to file a small claims case against him several times, but could not find his current address. Well, that's not true. You knew exactly where he was until you moved out of the jurisdiction to New Jersey for 6 months, because he had been regularly seeing his son at his mother's house.
But he wasn't living at his mother's house.
It doesn't make any difference. That's not what you say here. He may not have been living there. He may not have wanted you to know where he was living.
He didn't, and that's
well,
why. So
that's okay. He doesn't have to tell you where he's living. Unless a judge orders him, he doesn't have to tell you where he's living. You were having visitation at his mother's house. So all of this stuff after the accident is all a bunch of baloney. So did there come a time when you were concerned that your son was using drugs? That's either a yes or a no. Yes. And was it at that time that you suggested she come and pick up Eden?
I told her to pick him up from school. I didn't tell her to come pick up Eden and take off for 5 months.
Eve Rockhill has accused her ex-boyfriend, Andrew Talon, of totaling her car. Andrew claims Eve kept him from seeing their son.
You knew exactly where he was until you moved.
I didn't, though. He was not living at his mother's house at the time. That was just a place that he was visiting with Eden that I would bring him to.
Perfect. So you would set the terms of that, and the terms were that he could see the child even without a court order because he was his father and had lived with him after he got out of jail.
Yes.
Lived with him, but you don't say here, after he got out of jail.
But I didn't put that.
I don't think you have a case. He drove the car with your permission. You were living together as a couple. You have a child together. Your case is dismissed. Now, I want you to tell me, sir, you have a counterclaim for her kidnapping your son. She left the jurisdiction. You called Child Protective Services.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me when you called Child Protective Services, because that's the reason that this lawsuit came about.
The last time I saw him before she left to stay with him was September 19th. Me and my family, we went to SeaWorld, and she was supposed to meet me. She said when we dropped off that she was going to meet me in Tampa. And when I called her, she said that she was in Jacksonville. She lives in Ocala, so she was still 2 hours northeast of where she lived, and she wasn't in Tampa. So I just decided to take him home rather than argue. I took him home, and the house was just disgusting. Beer cans filled up in the trash cans. The living conditions were troubling.
Was there a neglect proceeding?
For this?
The baby.
I had an interview with the caseworker or the investigator initially.
Were you there in court when your mother was granted? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Miss Rockhill?
Yes, she was there too.
You see your son regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
So the period of time when you did not see him was a 6-month period, is that right?
That was the second time. Yeah, it happened the year prior. She did it before too, where she removed him from school. Since I moved home in 2019, we've shared custody periodically until she decides that she wants to take him and not allow me to see him or for whatever reason. I think it's a control thing. And this was the second time. My counterclaim is for the second time.
How long was the first time?
Around roughly the same time, 5 months, 6 months.
Where did you go the first time?
I didn't go anywhere. I actually received a text from his mother, Angel, to come pick up Eden. Andrew was using drugs again, and come pick up Eden would be easiest to do it while he was at school to avoid potentially traumatizing Eden.
Did you send that email?
I did not send her an email, no.
Not a text message.
I sent her a text message.
Okay, just a second. You're his mother. Come. You sent her a text message. That's not something that she would make up because I'm going to ask to see it. She's going to show me. So did there come a time when you were concerned that your son was using drugs? That's either a yes or a no. Yes. And was it at that time that you suggested she come and pick up Eden?
I told her to pick him up from school. I didn't tell her to come pick up Eden and take off for 5 months.
I didn't take off.
Okay, but you told her to pick him up from school.
Yes.
He knew where to find me. I was at the same address. I didn't leave anywhere. He's known where we've lived the entire time. He could have come up and seen him. We could have met somewhere.
I don't know. You did, in fact, remove him the second time for six months.
The second time, yes. I not purposefully to keep him away from Andrew. We had business to attend to, and it ended up taking a lot longer than it
Now you see him.
should have.
Now you see him all the time. Is that right?
I live back at home again. Once this happened, because...
Just a second. So you live back at home with your mother?
Yes, I see him every day.
Since when?
I've been living back at home for, I think, roughly a month or so.
Where are you working?
I work for a solar company.
For how long?
I went to jail for DUI last year. I got out. That's why I'm having to do the case plan because of my DUI. That was in August 1st is when I started this job.
Okay, you working?
I am, yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a dental assistant.
Did you have a trial in the family court?
Not yet. We're still awaiting adjudication.
A full custody?
Yes.
But the child is with you under the auspices of Child Protective Services?
Yes, her trial is the 13th of February.
For the neglect case?
Yes.
Is that correct? You have a lawyer there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Your case against the respondent for the damage to the car 3 years ago is dismissed. Likewise is your action against her for attorney's fees, the custody. Are you appearing in that custody case?
I'm almost complete with my case plan. I will be there for that. Yes, ma'am.
Good. So I suggest we not say anything nasty about each other, because there is always that strong probability that you're going to have to co-parent this child.
It's never been a problem in the past.
Good. Very good. Case is dismissed. Thank
you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't want to be a part of his life. I want him to have a part of his child's life, as I always have and have always done my best to make sure that he has.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I think she was just, maybe he was just trying to get back at me, maybe not.
Unfortunately, circumstances arose that I wasn't expecting.
I feel like sometimes our son was used in a way to hurt me.
Things happened with the sale of the house and the closing of the house. Deals were dropped. We were just trying to get rid of it, and it took longer than expected.
It's hard to see the fighting and just the separation of the family.
I was just worried. I was in mom mode, and I was worried because I know what he's capable of. I've been exposed to him while he was exhibiting behaviors that would be damaging and traumatizing to Eden.
It's my past. It's true. I'm not the same person. But
I just want to be the best parent I can be.
I hope we can parent our son together.
Sarah, there were lots of tentacles in that case.
There were?
Yeah. But if you try to take all those tentacles that we really don't have jurisdiction over, I think that they said that custody is ongoing. Mm-hmm. If you remove all those tentacles, there was an accident 3 years ago. And despite the fact that she really knew where he was,
हेलो दोस्तों, आप लोग सब लोग कैसे हो? मैं वीडियो बना रहा हूँ, ठीक है। हमारा चैनल है सैम एंटरटेनमेंट के नाम से, ठीक है, जिसमें मैं जज जूरी और जस्टिस के वीडियोस अपलोड करता हूँ। मैं जज जूरी की ये एक ड्रामा सीज़न है जिसमें पूरा कोर्ट को तरतीब दी गई, जिसमें एक जज होता है, जूरी होती है, विटनेस होती हैं, केस फाइल करने वाला होता है, जिसमें केस फाइल किया जाता है वो होता है, ठीक है। और उसके अलावा इसमें सिविल केसेस ज़्यादा नज़र आए हैं मुझे, ठीक है, जिसमें केस फाइल करने वाला प्लेंटिफ होता है, जिसके खिलाफ केस किया जाता है वो डिफेंडेंट होता है। केस इस तरह से शुरू होता है। जूरी और जज जो होती है वो लेडी हैं, यूएसए का ही ये सीज़न है, ठीक है। उसके अंदर ये केस को बताते हैं पूरे तरीके से, केस को क्या किया जाए, कैसे चलाया जाता है, फिर केस फाइल किया आपने तो क्या केस फाइल किया है, आप क्या कहना चाहती हैं, क्या मसला है, प्रॉपर्टी का केस है, फैमिली केस है, क्या केस है, इसके बारे में फिर प्लेंटिफ के दलाइल होते हैं, डिफेंडेंट के दलाइल होते हैं, विटनेसेस होती हैं, सब कुछ होता है और सब इस चीज़ को रिकॉर्ड किया जाता है। पूरा एक सीज़न नहीं है, ड्रामा करके एक कोर्ट पेश करके पाया गया है ताकि लोगों को नॉलेज भी हो एक तरह से और ड्रामा का ड्रामा इंटरटेनमेंट भी हो जाए। ठीक है, ये वो दिखाया गया है। मैंने खुद ये सीज़न देखा है, मुझे पसंद आया। फुल कोर्ट का होता है, अपने पाकिस्तानी कोर्ट की तरह तो नहीं होता है ये। पाकिस्तानी कोर्ट तो पता नहीं क्या होते हैं, ये जल्दी फैसला हो जाता है। तकरीबन 1-1.5 घंटे का एपिसोड होता है, कभी 2 घंटे का एपिसोड होता है, जल्दी मतलब हो जाता है ये। हाँ, फैसले का फैसला उसी टाइम ही आ जाता है, उसी टाइम ही आपको सब मिल जाता है, इधर या उधर, ज़्यादा टाइम ज़ाया नहीं करते हो। इस वजह से मुझे ये सीज़न तो बहुत पसंद आया। आप अपनी राय भी दें, कमेंट करें, मैसेज करें क्या है क्या नहीं है। ठीक है।